Hello, and welcome to our critical media literacy lesson titled Detecting Bias in the Media.
Before we get into the bulk of our lesson, we will give a brief overview of the grade level, topics, and background information. In this lesson, we will be discussing the detection of bias in the media, focusing on the media's coverage of COVID-19. We chose to design this lesson for a grade 8 class due to the fact that they already have some experience in media literacy and the idea of information potentially being fictional or having some sort of purpose for its audience. In regards to background information, as I just mentioned, students will have already been introduced to this topic in grade 7, where they would have examined the effectiveness and accuracy of media texts from various resources. Furthermore, students have obviously been introduced to information surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, both in the media as well as from other resources such as their parents and friends. At this age, they will know a bit more information about the actual virus itself and will be able to read about this topic in the media with ease. Our overall and specific expectations are taken from the language arts curriculum under the media literacy strand. This lesson will focus on responding to and evaluating texts as students evaluate the effectiveness and treatment of ideas, information, and themes in articles in the media. We will also focus on point of view, where students will show their understanding of the different perspectives that different media texts reflect. To put this into simpler terms, at the end of this lesson, students will be able to recognize various themes, opinions, and information in various media texts and will be able to communicate this understanding of the various points of view found within these media texts. They will also be able to express their own opinions and reflect on various influences in their own lives that impact these opinions and ideas.
The lesson begins with the teacher using the website Mentimeter to create a word cloud with the class. The students will share words and ideas associated with the COVID-19 pandemic in order to create this word cloud. The teacher will ask the volunteers to explain their words and will ask the students where they are hearing this information. The teacher can ask the student whether or not they believe the source is valid. The teacher will then ask the class guiding questions on how the students think they can discern what information is fact and which is opinion. The teacher will begin the main activity by splitting the students into 3 groups, with each group representing a specific politically aligned news source. Within these groups, students must read the article they are aligned to and discuss the questions that will be displayed on the board. These questions include: who is the intended audience? What is the goal of this message? And how can you tell if this information is fact or opinion? The teacher will then circulate the class and verify that the students are on task in understanding the activity. Students may choose to use chart paper or a digital screen sharing feature in order to share their main ideas with the class. Students will then gather back from their groups to present the ideas they found from the articles. Students will participate in a class discussion on the similarities and differences found between each group's article. During this discussion, the teacher can ask guiding questions, such as: what do we think the political agenda of Fox News is when covering this pandemic? How does that differ from the political agenda of CNN? And should we always trust Wikipedia? In the wrap-up activity, students will participate in an exit ticket on Google Forms in order to reflect on which articles resonate with them most. This will also help the teacher understand the students' influences for further discussion.
The takeaways from this lesson plan related to critical media literacies as discussed within this class are twofold. The first being the juxtaposition of directional motivation versus accuracy motivation. And second, the significance of transmedia navigation as it relates to hypersociability. The premise of this assignment is for students to identify the political agendas of various news providers in order to better understand the choices made in how each provider tailors its content. Are the stories being told influenced by accurate accounts and solidified evidence, or are they based more on the political perspectives of the providers? In addition, the fact that such content is accessible on such a ubiquitous scope, that is, everything and anywhere all the time, as seen on TV, in print, over the radio, or of course, online, it is up to the students to discern which sources are more viable, as well as how they relay such information when interacting with others in a more social context.
With regards to assessment during this lesson, the teacher will have many opportunities to assess student learning and comprehension. At the beginning of the class, the students will take part in a discussion which will give the educator an opportunity to assess students for their learning, taking note of gaps in their knowledge as well as knowledge reserves, with the ability to adjust the lesson and differentiate depending on student knowledge. At the end of the lesson, the educator will give the students an exit ticket, which will act as an assessment as learning, although it will also be an assessment for learning. The exit ticket will give students the opportunity to consolidate what they learn and assist in retention. For the assessment of learning, students will be tasked to create a poster or magazine cover that is emblematic of the axioms of a particular media orientation, either CNN or Fox News. Groups of 4 to 5 students will endeavor to visually communicate the perspective of either news organization. The intention will be to advocate for the viewpoint espoused by the news source they are assigned. Students should care to precisely and directly highlight the virtues and shortcomings inherent in the tenets, philosophical learnings, and style of the respective news organizations that they are assigned. Students will have 3 to 4 work periods dependent upon need, during which they will be able to collectively collaborate on poster design. They will be assessed on effort, appearance, and the accuracy of the viewpoint. Group members will also be asked to complete a peer evaluation to alert the teacher of any inconsistencies between group cohesion. The intention of this assignment will be to promote abstract thinking, metacognition, and imbue students with an understanding of the motivations behind symbolic and figurative messaging of news media.